The goal for 2024 is to be witchy, gay, and filled with murderous tendencies, and my anticipated fix, they kind of reflect that. Right off the bat, we're going to start with the first book on the list, which is Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez, which I love art. I love art, and I'm also aware of the fact that art is very male dominated, right? And so the art industry, I mean, is very male dominated. And in this story, we follow Anita de Monte, who is this young, upcoming, bright star, this woman of color who makes art and is slowly getting the recognition. But then she gets into a relationship with this older white male artist, and basically she kind of gets subsumed in him, and next thing you know, people are more he's the focus of everybody, like he's the focal point, and she eventually dies, and like 13 years later nobody even knows of Anita de Monte until Raquel, who is our other like lead protagonist, who is doing a thesis and is also studying art, basically decides that she wants to research Anita de Monte for her thesis, and interestingly enough finds a lot of similarities because they are both women of color. But not just that, they are both women of color in the art industry who are in relationships with white older male artists, right? And so it then becomes a story that is told from both their perspectives, and the expectation is that, you know, hopefully Raquel learns from Anita, but also is able to shine the spotlight on who Anita is and what it is that she's accomplished. And I'm guessing that that is how Anita de Monte is going to laugh last. And just the concept of this just makes me very, very happy, and I'm really excited about this book. I cannot wait. Next on the list is a book with a cover that I find positively divine. I am of course talking about The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. I mean, look at that cover! Oh, it is so pretty, but also most importantly, I also love it when covers like fit the stories in a way. And what do I mean by that? The Poisons We Drink centers Venus. Yes, our lead character is legit called Venus, who has a younger sister called Janus, and that is just making my witchy pagan mythology obsessed head very, very happy. Like, it's doing the jig. It's just so fucking happy because like one sister is named after the goddess of love, and the second sister is named after the god of time and beginnings and endings and passages. I'm just like, Bethany Baptiste has fucking taste, and I should know, right? And this makes me even extra happy because the reason why I picked this book is because of something that happened, right? So I'm not really on book Twitter. I only come on occasionally. I talk about, to basically uphold the voices talking about the genocide going on in Palestine, in Congo, in the war in Sudan. And basically, I do all of that and then I keep it moving. That is what I've done, right? That is what I've done with it. So I just retweet and then I go off because I'm not really on Twitter. Life has been lifing. But I did catch the tail end about what like some author called Kate Cochran, I don't know what the fuck her name is, and I do not fucking care. She can go fuck off for all we fucking care. But I am like, this fucking raggedy ass bitch. Now, if it is that you're watching this video and you're like, who the fuck is Kate Cochran? Because like, who is this? I've never heard of it, even if you're not on book Twitter, because he made this on like mainstream news. So just to give you context, this fucking ass bitch who is meant to have a debut novel coming out in 2024, basically either because she felt like she did not believe in her own source and did not think her book was going to cut it, but she basically created this identity on Goodreads, this false identity on Goodreads, and was review bombing other debut authors of 2024 so that her book can look good, right? And the way in which she did it was that she also targeted, like she was specific with who she targeted. She was targeting BIPOC authors and queer authors, which is just fucking raggedy ass behavior, disgusting shit, right? And she was exposed and she was all like, oh my god, it was not me, it was my friend. But then we found out that she was even fucking lying. It was not friend, it was still a fucking ass. Like, I'm just like, raggedy trash piece of shit. Girl, go out with a fucking trash, fuck your ass, fuck you all over. Anyway, sorry, I refuse to focus on Kate, whatever the fuck her name is. I'm going to focus instead on the authors that were hurt in this, and one of those authors is Bethany Baptiste. And this book is fucking fantastic. Not only the cover but also the premise, because you see our lead character Venus, she makes love potions to sustain her family, right? But the thing about it is that love potions are kind of banned in her country, so she's perpetually breaking the law. But that's not even what scares her. What scares her is the fact that she has this sentient dark magic within her, and she's worried about what it is capable of, what she is capable of. I'm over here and I'm like, sis, you need to do some shadow work, because like you need to embrace the shadows. But that is another conversation for another day. But as I was saying, like, it is just, how do I explain it? She's making love potions, she's trying to take care of her family, and then some pieces of shit kill her mother. And then the Grand Witcher, who is kind of like the head of a coven, is like, girl, I know you're pissed. I know who killed your mother. But before I give you their name so you can go out hunting, you're going to do something for me. I need you to help, like, create potions to manipulate the minds of the politicians. And she's like, oh, you need some manipulation magic? Bet, give me the name, because some motherfuckers are gonna die, right? And like, I'm like, girl, you're justified, but also that shadow, embrace the shadow. So like, she's dealing with all of that. I remember I already stated at the beginning of this video that what is my theme for 2024? Be witchy, be gay, give in to murderous tendencies. So I'm over here screaming that I need her to give in to murderous tendencies, and that is why I'm absolutely going to get the poisons we drink. Also because she had me at poisons. Next on the list is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I mean, look at that book. Look at that book. And then you now find out that there are so many things. So, dark academia, set in this school with girls, gay. Vampires, gay. Sapphics, gay. There's the academic rivalries that has the sexual attraction undertone, gay. There's an older professor who is obsessed, an older bloodthirsty professor who is obsessed with one of her students, and like, even though I do not approve of that because the power dynamics are like, nah, it is still gay. It is still gay. And then you had the fact that it is a retelling of Camilla. Double gay, all the gay. Remember, I repeat, what is our watchword for 2024? Be witchy, be gay, and give it to murderous tendencies, because clearly there are secrets, and also clearly Camilla, there's a vampire in here. I am going to enjoy reading the fuck out of this book. I've only read one S.T. Gibson book, that's Odd Spirit, and I love that book. I cannot wait. An Education in Malice sounds like he's going to borrow into my fucking brain and take space and ownership and own it. And like, I'm just like, give it to me. See, all these books I have on the list, right? This is 24, my 24 my anticipated reads of 2024, 24 anticipated reads of 2024. It's because, like, economically, we all know how everything is. Like, this world is going to shit economically. And the thing about it is that, like, to give you all context of what I'm about to say, in 2015, it was 150 naira to $1. By 2018, 2019, it had risen a bit to like, say, $250, 250 naira to $1. That was in like 2019, right? That was like in 2017, 2018, 250 naira to $1. By like 2019, 2020, we were playing around with like 500 naira, 550 to $1. Earlier this year, we were at about, say, 650, 700 naira to $1. As of today, we're at 1,300 naira to one single dollar. Which means that shit is fucking hard. Also because my salary has not increased. There is no recognition of the fact that the purchasing power just keeps going down. So if at any point you want to support my channel for as little as $1, please come support me on Patreon. You join this amazing community that I've created. We have weekly reading sprints, we have monthly movie nights, we get to have hangout sessions every month where we just gist and catch up. There's a live chat, there's a special Patreon live chat for if it is that, you know, you're witchy or you're just a beginner and you're learning and you just like to have a conversation. You can join us. We have a live chat where we do that once a month, and I toss in a bit of divination in that video, so if you have any questions you can definitely ask and everything else. And then there's a tier for where you can ask me to review like entire movie series or TV shows or book series. Like somebody just requested a book series that I'm actually very eager to start. I'm going to start it like after we close from work for the holiday, Sarah. I cannot wait to make that video. But yes, if like even if it's just $1, as little as you can come support me on Patreon. Every bit counts and matters, and I am forever grateful. And you also get so much content, but even if that's something that you cannot afford, because I know how tight it is for everybody economically wise, just liking my video, interacting with my video, sharing my video, subscribing means a lot and matters a lot, and I'm forever grateful for that. So whatever it is that you can comfortably and conveniently afford, or however you can support my channel, please do so, because like your girl needs it. But yes, so 1,300 naira to $1 means that I have to be very picky about what books I'm reading and what books what books I'm buying, because these are books I want to buy and put on my shelves in 2024. And now you're looking at like say 20 to 30 fucking K a book, like naira a book, like my heart. Of course there are other books I'm going to read more, because I have been in a depressive episode since 2020. That kind of happens when it is that a protest you're part of ends with the massacre of so many young people that you're protesting with, and a government that tries to gaslight you and gaslight the world that it didn't happen. So I've been in a depressive episode since 2020, which also triggered a reading slump. For the longest time, everything has just been dark and without any joy and warmth, and it's been very hard, like just pockets of happiness. So the fact that I'm excited to read these books, the fact that I'm making this list, the fact that I'm excited to read these books, it's just, I'm coming into a better headspace, and it's making me so happy. So yes, I am excited to read this book, An Education in Malice. I am gonna get it, and I cannot wait to read it. Next, I'm also very excited to read The Eternal Ones by Namina Forna. If you're on my channel in like early 2020, you'll know that I did do an interview with Namina Forna when she was releasing The Gilded Ones, which was the first book in the series, and like I love that book, and Merciless Ones, and now we have The Eternal Ones, and this is the end of the trilogy. I'm not going to go into any details because I do not want to spoil things for you, but all I know is that Decker is big. Decker is my fucking ass girl. But also, and most importantly, oh my god, like how do you make that decision? How do you decide, should I be a god or should I end the world? Because I would be thinking, are anybody I love still in the world? If the answer is yes, then no. But what if the answer is no, everybody I love is gone? Then what happens? Do you choose to end the world to become a god? Do you create, like, so many questions. I don't want to go into details because I do not want to spoil things. But yes, I am really, really excited about this book, and I cannot wait to read it in 2024. Next is Heavenly Tyrant by Zhao. Firstly, I don't know if you all know this, but I love Xiran. I follow them on all the social media that they're on. I love them. I adore them. I'm just like, I don't worship them because, you know, we don't do that here. But if they wanted me to lick their feet, I would lick their feet, but more in a sexy way than a worship. Noria, what the fuck is wrong with your brain? Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, Zhao. I love them. I adore them. Iron Widow. It was in my November books, and oh my god, I cannot believe it took me that fucking long. Also, Sarah, thank you so much for sending me that book. You sent it to me like almost 2 years ago. It took me a while because it arrived just in the middle of my depressive episodes and reading slump, but like, okay, so sorry. I'm screaming, and now my Apple Watch is like, why are you screaming, girl? Are you okay? Should we call like the ambulance? And I'm like, it's Nigeria, it's Lagos. It's not gonna get you anytime soon. I'm gonna be dead by the time it arrives. But anyway, Heavenly Tyrant is finally coming out. If it is that you are not following Xiran on their social media, you might not know why they pushed it out, but you know what? Facts for being all like, you know what, publishing, you took your fucking damn time to give me my money. I'm a writer, I'm trying to survive on this. Money no come on time, you no get sequel on time. And I'm like, Xiran, I support you. I fucking support you in everything. So yes, anyway, Heavenly Tyrant is finally out. If you've not read Iron Widow yet, because it's a sequel and I do not want to really go into that much details, but just Wuzetien inspired mecha type story of this badass Black Widow type heroine who is like, I'm gonna consume your soul, but also polyamory, also queer, also, I repeat, a badass female protagonist inspired by China's female emperor Wu Zetian, that queen. So yes, Heavenly Tyrant is coming out finally in 2024. We do not mind the wait, and I'm just over here for like political machinations. Can she trust them? Can she trust them? Is this worth it? Like, is this worth this song and dance? You know, and also, should she give in to her darker desires? I repeat, 2024, the year of what? Being witchy, being gay, giving into murderous tendencies. So you all know when I'm reading this book and when we're talking about this book, you probably already have an idea of my stance. Go dark. Zetian, go fucking dark. You're welcome. Next up is Guardian Volume 2 and 3, because they are both coming out in 2024. Yes, I know I'm kind of cheating, but I'm sorry. Like, it's Guardian by Priest. You see, I have the only trilogy of Danmei writers that I love. I have said it several times on my channel. Mozi and Tongsu, yeah. Priest, yeah. Meatbun, yeah. Because like, I'm always like, Meatbun is like, we'll get to that in a bit. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But yes, Guardian Volume 2 and 3 are coming out in 2024, and I'm so fucking excited. I'm not going to go into any details because if you've not read Volume 1, what are you doing with your life? But also, if you do not like very slow stories that build over time, Priest might not be the writer for you. There are different Danmei writers that you might consider. And I know, I promised I was going to make a recommendation video. I am going to make it. I am still going to make my Danmei yaoi recommendations segmented, because I want to do it segmented into different genres so that just depending on the type of books you like, I would find you a Danmei or a yaoi story that fits into that. I promise. It's still a work in progress. I'm just one person. Sorry. Also, I've had zero energy. So all this energy that you're seeing, I'm even surprising myself. I'm certain I'm surprising myself. I'm certain I'm surprising everybody because I've not had this energy in a while. Sorry, I'm choking. But yes, I'm not going to go into details just in case you've not read Guardian yet. But just know, just general synopsis. Man is a part of a special investigative forces unit, but also the guardian of this particular society. Right? Magic, mystical. Man in investigating runs into college professor who is like, you look familiar. Have we met? Do I know you from like say 800 years ago? Sorry. I give you Guardian. If you've Volume 2 and 3 2024. I'm so excited because just to give you a context, I have gotten all my MXTS books. Yes, I got all four volumes of Scum Villain Self-Saving System. I got all 5 volumes of Moda Azushi, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and I've gotten all 8 volumes. Finally, I got all 8 volumes of Tiangu Sifu, Evan's Official Blessing. So my Moza and Tongsu shelf is complete. I am very broke, but it is complete. My heart. Anyway, sorry. Distraction. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. But like I said, Volume 2 and Volume 3 of Guardian is coming out in 2024, and I'm so excited about it. Same way as I'm excited by the Husky and his white cat Shizun, also popularly known in the fandom, in the community, for the last couple of years as AR, when we had it as, you know, the fan translation, but now 7 Seas has been making them. Yeah, so all my books, I've been getting them via 7 Seas, so the English adaptations, because I do have the fan translations. No, I'm not going to share it with you because, like, the English adaptations are present now, but I do have the fan translations, but I was like, I absolutely needed to get the English adaptations to support these authors. So Erha is the final volume. Volume 5 is coming out in 2024 as well, by Meatbun, and I'm just like, this series breaks me. I repeat, trigger warning for all the trigger warnings. Erha is not your safe, tame. Yeah, there are lots of trigger warnings. Like, if you go anywhere within the fandom, people will be like, Erha is not for everybody. Don't worry, when I'm making my recommendations list, I will list out all the trigger warnings. I will try my best, because it is quite a long list. It is quite a long list. But yes, Erha Volume 5. Also looking forward to it. 2024. Let's go. And next, I'm certain this book making it to this list will not be a surprise if you followed me on my channel, because you all know that I'm a hoe for Leigh Bardugo. That's fucking right. I cracked myself up, but anyway, sorry. Apologies. The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I mean, set in Spain's golden age. So, historical fantasy. We follow Lucia, who is like, has been going about being like, look at me, I do nothing, I know nobody, I am innocent, like I'm just a cute little maid. And then our mistress is like, no, you are not. I saw you with your magics. I know you can do magics. You're gonna use the magics to fix my fucking family and help my family. And she's like, oh fuck, busted. You know, and then while she's doing that and everything else, one of the advisors to the Spanish king, who has been out of favor with the king and knows that the king is currently obsessed with this war against the Queen of England, when he finds out about Lucia's powers, it's like, you girl, report. You're going to help me. You're going to serve your king. We are going to, of course, reward you handsomely for it, but I am going to use you to get back in with the king, right? And she's like, you're gonna like take care of my needs? Of course, what the fuck not? But while she's doing all of that, she also has to juggle the fact that nobody must know that she's Jewish, right? And so she's doing all of these things. She's getting more embroiled in the politics and all the powers of what is happening, and she's like, oh shit, nobody must find out I'm Jewish. And while she's doing that, she's also balancing the secrets that her immortal familiar has that he's not shared with her. And I'm over here like, immortal familiar sounds like they're gonna boom. Rest in peace, Andre. Rest in peace. If it is that you're like, this is the first time you're finding out that he's dead, I'm so sorry. I'm still devastated. I hope he continues to rest in peace. He was the heart and soul of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Captain Holt was the heart. Like, that is a propaganda show. But I also found it entertaining as well. So Captain Holt, Andre, rest in peace. Rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in peace. Now, moving on from historical fantasy to more modern fantasy, there is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandanna. Now, I have one of Sangu Mandanna's books up on my shelves. The first book in our Celestial Trilogy series, A Spark of White Fire, which just, I still need to read that book because the premise still sounds fantastic. But my plan was to get the rest of the trilogy. So I was waiting for her to release the rest of the trilogy, then I can get it, which I think it's complete now. So definitely I should get the rest. But anyway, I get distracted. This is set in a more modern time. We have Sarah. That's our lead character is Sarah Swan. Yes, sorry, because I was like, Sarah Snow? I'm like, why am I saying Sarah Snow? Sorry, yes, Sarah Swan. So Sarah used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain until she brought her recently deceased great aunt back to life. I'm guessing that the universe was a no-no at that, which, you know, understandable. Spells do have, you do have to give certain energies for certain spells to work, and in this case she kind of lost her powers. She also befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, which just gives me Salem Saberhagen vibes, and I'm talking Salem from the original, the OG Sabrina the Teenage Witch. God, I fucking love Salem. I miss Salem. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Yes I am. Okay, sorry. Salem, and you know, so basically she has to leave her town. She moves in with her aunt to help her aunt run an inn with all their kooky weird guests, until she finds out that there's a particular book that can possibly help restore her magic, and she has to work with the man she had a one night stand with quite a while back, because he's the one that can help her interpret the wordings of the spell. And I'm just like, yeah, you two, just bang and give us a happy ever after. Give us magic, give us family, give us community, because apparently that is something that they've created in the inn with the esoteric and eccentric characters that live in it. And I'm just like, it's going to have found family, found community, there's magic, there's witchcraft, there's just love, there's just, you know, a semi-villainous talking fox. I want to read it. Then there is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsah Faizal. First and foremost, that cover! But also, it has heists, it has vampires, it's set in the 20s, and it takes place in artists' tea rooms. I'm just like, give me a moment, let me collect my fucking breath. Arthi, our lead character, is a collector of secrets, and she trades it in the tea rooms that she has that caters to vampires of our society. And when she's, you know, when her life is threatened, she has to pull together a heist, find her way into vampire society, team up with her adversary for said heist, find out that she's about to be backstabbed, like, I'm just like, can you all feel the excitement? Can you feel the love tonight? I'm sorry, I want it. A tempest of tea. It's a tempest in my body. It's a tempest in my bones. It's a tempest in my motherfucking mind. I want this book. I am gonna get this book. I'm gonna read this book. Fingers crossed that I love this book, because 2024 seems to be the year since 2019, when, you know, the dark came. It seems to be the year where I probably would read more than 60 books in the year. I might set my Goodreads goal to like 60 books, because so many great fantastic books make me want to read something. Okay, sorry. Yeah, A Tempest of Tea. Love it. Moving on to my next book, which is more of a more serious topic, as you can tell. As to be the next book I plan on getting, my anticipated read for 2024 is Knife: Meditations After an Attempted Murder by Salman Rushdie. Now, Salman Rushdie is an author that has had to deal with several assassination attempts, especially after he released the Satanic Verses, whereby a fatwa was declared against him. So yes, he's had a price on his head since the late 80s, early 90s for his writing. And last year, in August 12th, 2022, he was meant to give a talk in New York, in Chautauqua, and somebody knifed him, like multiple stabs to his throat. Trigger warning, actually. You know, let me start by saying that trigger warning, because I'm about to be very detailed as to what happened. So he was stabbed multiple times in his throat, his abdomen, like his facial area. Like it was clearly an attack that was meant to kill him. Things were shut down. He was flown, you know, given round the clock care. His agent had mentioned to the public that you know, he had survived the surgeries, but he would most likely lose an eye. And when he was, you know, taken off the ventilator and could breathe on his own, he did lose an eye, and also lost like a lot of like function and motion in his arm, in one of his arms, but he survived. And Knife, Meditations After an Attempted Murder, is his first book since the attack, talking about his experience post-attack and how his voice will not be silenced and he would continue to write. And I just, yeah, it's a book that I know is going to break me and make me cry, and it's also a book I intend to read anyway in 2024 and process what it is present in the text. So if you're somebody that does read books like that, and do not mind, because I am fairly certain that Salman Rushdie is not going to hold back in what he's going to write. He has never done that. That's the reason why he's had a fatwa on his head for the last 30 years, and has survived multiple assassination attempts, the most recent one being last year. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to be reading Knife come 2020. Moving from a more serious book to fantasy romance set in Regency period is A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft. Firstly, we have an Irish protagonist, Neve. Now, how do I explain this? What happens when it is that your magical powers is that you can weave emotions into shit, but every time you weave emotions into shit, like, it brings you closer to death, but you're willing to do it because your plan is to use the very last days of your life to create enough to support your family before you go. And then someone is like, we got a big order. This order is going to change your life. And you're thinking that's a lot of money because they've contracted you to sew the wedding garments for like a royal wedding in a neighboring kingdom. And you're like, sure, it's a lot of money. This is probably going to be my last job because I'm going to die. Because of course, do you know how fucking expensive it is to make a trousseau, like a full-on outfit for like the bride and groom for a wedding? That's a lot of clothes. Sis is about to die, but she's like, sure, no problem. Last big hurrah, I'm going to be able to take care of my family. What happens though when it is that she gets there? She meets the prince who is, about to be married, who is being a political pawn, who is being used as a political pawn for his family. He's all prickly and abrasive, and they initially do not get along, giving you all that back and forth, other banter. And then they develop a friendship, and then it grows into something more. To the fact that a gossip columnist is like, are you all fucking, or do you all want to fuck? Either way, you have chemistry, and I'm about to publish an expose on both of you all. If you, Neve, our lead protagonist, if you do not uncover the secrets of the monarchy. And now she's like, oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm pressing over here, and I'm like, gossip columnists, we could have used you in Bridgerton season 2 because like everybody was blind when these two were just eye fucking all over the place. Anyway, sorry, I get distracted. Sorry, I have Anthony Kate's rot still somewhere in my brain. But yes, and now she's like, I have to do it because this cannot be exposed. But also, what does it mean if I expose like the kingdom? Does that not mean that this budding friendship, maybe relationship I'm having with the prince is gone kaput? And I'm over here like, girl, your priorities are out of whack. You're about to die. Your family might starve. This entire thing could blow up in your face. But I get it. Of course, like, the prince is cute. Priorities. I'm like, I always like it when my lead female characters in a romance have their priorities straight. Can you all tell I'm being sarcastic? But honestly, I am going to love this book. It's so pretty. The cover is gorgeous. And I cannot wait to read it. Also, I repeat, an Irish protagonist. Yeah. Next on my list is Florida Water Poems by Aja Monet. Now, I have read a couple of Aja Monet's poems, and I just think that there's a lyricism, there's a depth, there's a pain, there's an honesty, there's a vulnerability that is present in the poems, and it just hits me. It gets me in the gut. It gets me everywhere. And Florida Water like when I hear Florida water, I think Florida water, right? I'm like, oh, you know, Florida water that we use to cleanse spaces, you use in different form of workings, and just that title was what gripped me. And to find out that, you know, that is an inspiration for this collection of poems, right? The role that Florida water plays in a magical practice to cleanse, to unravel, to reveal, to reflect, right? To rinse. And I just to find out that those themes are going to be present within this collection of poems gets me. And I definitely know I want to have this poetry book and have it somewhere on my shelves, right? Not just because of the title, but also because like it is clear that Monet, like you can tell even from the cover of this book, it's going to be visually, it's going to be haunting, but in a way that the words are going to stick with you and burrow into your being. And I can just imagine some days looking out of the window when it's raining and just have like words of the poem hit. I don't know, like it's somewhere in my brain. But I know collections of poems are not for everybody, but I do love poetry. And I just think that I want this on my shelves because of the themes, like I said. Also because, you know, they talk about systemic oppression, there's climate change, there's what it means when you come back to community, when you're trying to be accepted and assimilated into community. And it just gives me sink in. Open the pages on a Sunday when it's raining and it's a bit dark and broody, and you have a cup of coffee or like hot chocolate or tea, and just relax and read. So yes, Florida Water, collection of poetry. Remember how a couple of minutes ago, at this point it might be a long time ago, this video is going to be long, I'm sorry. Actually no, I hope you find it entertaining and you enjoy it. But remember a couple of minutes ago, maybe almost half an hour ago, when I was talking about Roman mythology, the next book now moves from Roman to Norse mythology inspired. And I'm certain for those that already know, yes, this is going to be A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I mean, firstly, I repeat, it's Norse inspired, so yes. Also, in this we're following a character named Freya. Now Freya is a shield maiden. She does have a drop of the goddess's blood within her, and even though she dreams of being a warrior, she's stuck in this loveless marriage where she's, you know, tending to her home, gutting fish, pretending that she's gutting a fucking ass husband. And then when it is that said lily-livered piece of shit husband basically betrays her, and she finds herself having to fight the son of a Jarl, Bjorn, to protect herself. At the last minute, she has to reveal the fact that, you know, she has a drop of goddess blood, which effectively makes her a shield maiden. And now the Jarl is like, oh my god, awesome, you know, this is definitely proclaiming me as fucking king. Beyond, it's your responsibility to teach her how to fight and also protect her. And now she's learning how to fight, she's learning how to like handle her magic, she's trying to overcome the many tests that the gods, because the gods do, they like giving us a lot of tests. So she has to, you know, survive the many tests of the gods, all the while fighting her attraction to Beyond. And all I'm here, I'm like, we know how this goes. She's not going to be able to resist. Just like I cannot resist it, I need to have this book because I am going to be entertained from start to finish. It's gonna be so good. Also, that cover, yes, please, thank you. The next book on my list is by Ijeoma Oluo. Yes, Ijeoma Oluo, who wrote So You Want to Talk About Race, so you know that she's about to bring it. And this next book is Be a Revolution: How Ordinary People Are Fighting Oppression and Changing the World, and How You Can Too. And I do think that, like, the entire basis of the book is pretty much set in the title, so you know what it is that you're getting, kind of like the same way as So You Want to Talk About Race was kind of upfront about what this book was going to be about. But I do think that at this time, at this moment in time, because I can feel a seismic shift, between people talking about the genocide of Palestinians in Palestine and what the occupied state of Israel is doing. And, we're talking about the genocide of the people of Congo, which I'm like, finally, thank you. We're talking about the war in Sudan. We're talking about what it is that, they're about to do with Haiti, and even with Venezuela. I honestly think that we are getting to the time when people are becoming more aware of the atrocities of what is going on in the world, and how we can each in our own way step to the plate, bring awareness about these issues, speak up about these issues, do our own bit in resisting. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend about the genocide in Congo, and I'm like, I have not bought, like, ever since I have always insisted that you do not need to change and replace your devices every year, right? Your mobile phones and computers are things that are needed, yes, but the reason why the genocide of the Congo is going on is because of the exploitation of the resources of the Congo, and it is to serve, all these companies, is to serve Apple and Microsoft and Windows, right? Who are making all these devices, Samsung, every single person, they need coltan to be able to create this. And the fact that we're a heavily driven consumerist society that is like, oh, replace this every year, is what is helping to facilitate this genocide, right? Personally, I use my phones to last like 7 to 8 years before I replace them, right? So, for example, I used my iPhone 8 Plus for 7 years until it literally was falling apart. And it wasn't even literally falling apart, it's still kind of working. I bought the 13 because, I'd used it for about 6-7 years at that point. And my 8 Plus, though, I gifted it. So I bought the 13 and I gifted my 8 Plus to somebody that I work with, and I'm like, oh yeah, you can have it, right? So I gifted it to him, so it is still functioning in somebody else's hands who did not need to buy a new device, right? It's the same thing as when my old iPad like stopped updating, and I'm like, I love this, but like I needed to update and I can't update anything. I even still use it like 2-3 years after Apple discontinued it, because I have one of those old iPads. I still gifted it out because I had a colleague who was like, oh, I don't need to update anything, these are just the things I need the iPad for. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, you can have it, take it. And I bought a new one, right? And so far I've been using my new one now for about 3 years, going on 4. My MacBook, I've been using my MacBook since 2015. I've been using my MacBook since 2015, and my goal is my plan when I bought it, I was like, I'm going to use this for 10 to 12 years. So I do not have any plans of replacing that MacBook until 2025 to 2027. And I'm still using it. Like, you do not need to replace these things. This is the little things we can do, right? So it might seem small and inconsequential, but if we all unanimously decided that we're going to go several years, Apple is not going to need to be remaking Apple, Samsung, Windows. And by Windows, Windows is the software. I mean, like Dell and HP and all of these companies, they're not going to need to like keep farming and pushing for the genocide in the Congo so that they can get access to these resources. They're going to be like, oh, sorry, there's no money to be had, we can paste things, like, and we can also pay the Congo to extract their resources and give them like the equivalent value of what it is that we're extracting. Like, so like instability, everything is tied to a consumerist culture. You don't need to replace all of these things. But all of what am I to say? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I turned this into a conversation about this instead of what this video is about, which is about the book recommendation. What I'm basically trying to say is we can all change the world, and I think that we are on a precipice where we're having these conversations and people are going to actively be doing what they can in their own little ways to change the world. We are all going to be revolutionaries, be a revolution, and I think that this book is apt for this period in time. And yes, I am going to be getting it in 2024, also because Ijomoluo did not fail me with So You Want to Talk About Race. So I know this book is going to slap. It is going to motherfucking slap. Next book on my list is Cozy Fantasies. This cozy fantasy book, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Eva Fawcett. Now, this book is releasing in 2024 and it's cozy fantasy. But before it gets released, I need to read the first book in the series, because it turns out that this is the second book in the series and it's coming out this year. But the first book of the series is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now, from that title, you can get why this book is high on my list of books I need to read in 2024, because it has fairies. And if there's anything you know about me, you know I am fascinated by all things fairy. And yes, so in this book, right, turns out that the fair folk have kind of like invaded Cambridge for a reason, because you see a certain somebody on campus is a certain lost king of the fairy, exiled king of the fairy, whose mother wants him dead, and who is trying to find a way back to his realm so that he can also reclaim his throne. Hopefully that would also stop the assassins, but also this exiled king of fairy is also kind of like somebody that loves Emily, and Emily kind of loves, but Emily's like, oh my god, like I am not about to love this fairy king who is about to go back to his realm, like what the fuck. But she's also like one of a top scholar of all things fairies, because I mean she wrote a book of Encyclopedia of Fairies, which is the title of the first book in the series. And I am going to read the first book in the series, but this second book where they're traveling to the Austrian Alps, because like there might be a door into fairy somewhere there. Give it to me. 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 Yes. Sorry. So yeah, cozy fantasy. A professor. It's gonna be good. I just know it. Also, I kind of like academia set type books. So this is like giving me academia, but also fairy, also very cozy. There's also a bit of romance. There's also a bit of mystery and intrigue. It's gonna be good. I'm having fun. I'm gonna have fun with this book. I know The next book that is high on my list to read in 2024 is Liars by Sarah Manguso. Now, to understand why I am so interested in this book, let me tell you about the first book I read that basically set me on this path of feminism, but also kind of also ensured that I was not going to be interested in having kids. I love my cat. I'm going to get more cats. Cats are going to be my babies, but not kids. And that is Buche Mecheta's The Joys of Motherhood. I read that book as a child. Not as a child. I read it at like age 14. And I remember finishing the book and I'm like, I'm never going to have a child. I'm never going to get married. Because it feels like a lot of things, like some women lose things in marriage and in motherhood. And if you're somebody, right, who is able to maintain that, right, you don't necessarily have to be a woman, but if you're somebody that's able to maintain your identity in a marriage and like when you have kids in parenthood, that's perfectly good for you. But I know I'm probably going to be one of the people that would be subsumed in that role, so I knew it was not for me. It took a while for me to realize that I had made that decision so much earlier. And it was the right decision for me. So Liars by Sarah Manguso. We follow Jane, this aspiring writer who, has big dreams for herself, and then she meets this director that she falls in love with, and they have plans together of making their art and creating art, etc., etc. And she marries him, becomes a parent with him, and everything else, and finds out that our entire identity has been subsumed in him, kind of like Anita de Monte. The only thing about it is that she doesn't die, but he eventually leaves her, and so it then becomes all that rage, all that anger and pain about so much of her life that she's lost, and then she's coming back into herself, she's coming back into her own. She's basically this phoenix rising up from the ashes, and I love that. I love the story of people who rediscover themselves, because that is life, right? That is human existence. We are constantly on a journey of self-discovery, of learning more about ourselves, of learning who we are, what it is that we can endure, what it is that we deserve, what it is that we should be asking for. And I really love like those themes and concepts in books and stories. So I'm really looking forward to reading Liars by Sarah Manguso. Another book I cannot wait to read in 2024 is The Prisoner's Throne by Ollie Black. And if you spend any amount of time on this channel, then you know that Ollie Black is one of my favorite authors. The Folk of the Air series! I am married to that series. Jude is fucking bae. She is the queen. Jude fucking bae. Carden, I love. Oak, I adore. Oak is Jude's brother, and the Stolen Heir duology, which is a spin-off of the Folk of the Air trilogy, follows his story. I'm not going to go into details with regards to Prisoner's Throne, because I do not want to spoil either the Folk of the Air series for you if you've not read it yet, or the Stolen Heir if you've not read it. But we're getting more Jude and Carden and Oak and Prisoner's Throne 2024. I am gonna read it. Next up on the list for me is To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X Chang. I mean, look at that cover. Isn't she sexy? Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Sorry, I just lovely. Firstly, that cover is stunning. Secondly, I don't know if you all could tell, but I have very eclectic taste, and I think that this list kind of does really reflect that. But so To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods follows our character Ru Ying, who has the power of death. Now, if you've spent any amount of time on my channel, you know how fascinated I am by the concept of death. I love seeing death depictions in movies, in books, in TV shows, in anime, manga, in video games. I just love the concept of death. I love death. And Ru Ying in this book has the power of death. She has the power to take life away from mortals, and our country is currently going through an invasion, but rather than use her powers for that, she just wants to protect her family and keep her family safe, so she's not using her powers. But what happens when the prince of the enemy nation finds out about her secret and is like, do you know what, I'm gonna keep your secret, but you're gonna do one thing for me, and you're going to become my private assassin. You're going to kill all my enemies, but don't worry, these are not just my enemies. They're not just enemies of me and my kingdom, they're also your kingdom's enemies. And Ru Ying is like, do I trust him? But also, if that's the case, am I really going to basically damn my entire country in order to protect my family? Am I only buying into this because this prince makes my heart skip several beats? And I'm like, girl, you know that is what is driving you. You know that the only thing that is fixated in your brain right now is that, oh my god, this prince, that prince, this prince. And I'm like, I don't know if it's intuition, if it is the knowing, if it is my psychic abilities, or if it is the fact that I have read so many of these books. But all I'm over here as Ru Ying is like, can I trust him? No, girl, you cannot trust him. You cannot. This prince is using you. He is using and manipulating you, and you're gonna find out the hard way. You are gonna find out the hard ways, baby girl. I am so sorry. That poor girl. Next up is The Cemetery of Untold Stories by Julia Alvarez, which the premise I find it so fascinating. We follow two characters, Alma and Philomena. Now, Alma is a writer. She's this writer who basically watched her friend destroy herself because she wanted to get her story published and read. And so Alma is like, when she gets free property in the Dominican Republic, she goes there, she buys her land, and she basically turns that land into a cemetery for her untold stories and the characters that will never see the light of day. And she hopes that by laying the stories and these characters to rest in this cemetery, they will find rest. But the thing about stories is that they always want to be told, and the thing about characters is that they want their stories told. And so they end up doing that to the groundskeeper that she hires, the groundskeeper for the cemetery that she hires, Philomena. And so these characters come to life and basically tell their stories to Philomena. And I find the premise of that just very interesting and very thought-provoking and also very sad. And it's just very intriguing, right? And I cannot wait to read that. So yes, that is The Cemetery of Untold Stories by Julia Alvarez. It's just fascinating. Next up is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Iyimide. And I'm over here losing my shit because look at that cover. Look at that cover. Oh, sorry. I got distracted, but my locks are coming along so well. Are they not so pretty? I whip my hair back and forth. Okay, sorry. I got distracted. Sorry. Sorry. Welcome to the chaos of my ADD mind. Like, oh my god. Sorry. Like, no, I'm not sorry for this. Like, you sign up for this. I'm sorry if you're not subscribed and you just accidentally bumped into this video. If you are not subscribed, you should consider subscribing, especially if I made you laugh at all during this video. I was entertaining, or you found what I had to say informative. But yeah, so Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abikeyimide just makes my brain just tweak and just be very, very happy, because like, one, if you've read Ace of Spades, you know what to expect. This, we follow Sade, who has been homeschooled all this while, and in her 3rd year is sent to boarding school. This boarding school where the first night she arrives, her roommate Elizabeth goes missing, and everybody's like, "Girl, you killed her." And she's like, "How the fuck did we get to this? Is my first night. This is my first day, and I've killed somebody." Like, no, right? And you know, the entire school is convinced that she's killed Elizabeth, and the only people who pull her into their fold and who seem to believe her are the Holy Trinity. One of the girls, Persephone, who Sade is drawn to, and I'm like, yay! Because also it's just fantastic. But like, eventually another student turns up dead. Everybody seems to forget about Elizabeth, and Sade is like, that doesn't make any sense. 2 seconds ago you all were like insisting that I killed this girl. Why are we not finding her anymore? And so she teams up with Elizabeth's best friend Baz to try and figure out exactly what is happening, and in that figuring out, they uncover secrets about the school. Because if you're reading any book by Farida, you're like, it's going to be thrilling, it's going to be dark academia, you're going to have questions, and secrets are going to be very bloody, and like, this looks like it's going to be fantastic. And once again, I repeat, look at that cover. Next up is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. And if your brain was just like, Allison Saft, why does that name sound familiar? That's because Allison Saft is the one that wrote A Fragile Enchantment, the one about the girl who weaves emotions into clothes and was creating basically the trousseau for the royal family for a neighboring kingdom, and has this thing, this connection with the prince, and everybody's like, you have great chemistry, you all are fucking. Yes, that's Allison Saft. Clearly sis is busy, because this is the 2nd book that is coming out of hers in 2024. Wow. And also that cover. So A Fragile Enchantment, she was like, I'm gonna make that for the heteros, but this I'm gonna make for the gays. And I'm like, because in this we follow Lorelai. She's a folklorist, and she's just like on this expedition with like these other people so that they can find this mysterious spring. Everybody wants the spring for different reasons. Lorelai is like, I want the spring so that I can travel into the worlds that I've read about in books. And I'm like, you know, that's how you know a bookworm, because that is like the #1 thing that we want to do. Of course, I would also love if the spring like also like, you know, gave me access to all the books I wanted, like just drop the books I wanted to read, but also drop the money for the books in the accounts of the authors, because on this channel we support authors. But yes, so like that would be the dream, you know, and everything else. But on the night before the expedition was meant to kick off officially, our mentor winds up dead, like murdered in the cabin. And she's like, of all the people like I'm on this trip with, I suspect all of you all except my rival Sylvia von Wolf. And so, because she's like, Sylvia, I know we have our differences and all of that, but because of that, because you're my rival, I know you enough to know what you're capable of, and you are not the one that murdered my mentor. So they team up together to solve that mystery, and I'm just like, it's gonna be gay. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, but yes. So they team up to solve the mystery, and like in this place they are in, it's like an enchanted forest. Like the forest keeps rearranging itself. There are dragons sleeping in like rivers at the bottom, like sleeping at the bottom of rivers. They are shapeshifters. It sounds like it's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait to read it. Now, the penultimate book, and I cannot believe we made it to book 23, the penultimate book. And just before I go into that, please, so far, let me know if any of the books I've mentioned are books that have caught your interest that you're going to be reading. Drop it in the comments. But the penultimate book is One of Our Kind by Nicola Yu. Now, earlier this month, I had released my review of a debut, the YA debut of Talia Ibet, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, which was her foray into YA, her first YA novel, and I was like, I absolutely love it. This is the inverse. This is Nicola Yu's debut, first foray into adult stories, like adult writing, and I'm just really living for it, because this is meant to be a Stepford Wives meets get out, right? So you have Jasmine, who with her husband moves to this community called Liberty. Is meant to be a black utopia, and she's expecting, that they've arrived. Oh yes, people are going to be talking about, how are we fighting racial injustice, how are we, fighting and combating systemic oppression, basically things, because it's a utopia for black folks, right? But then nobody's having these conversations. In fact, everybody's just concerned about going to the spa, and she's like, this is fucking weird. Like, is this the definition of a utopia? And so she's not fitting in. Her husband though is fitting in perfectly, is assimilating perfectly well into this world, their new community. And the only people that she's talking with are other people as well in the community who are new as well, and like, this community is weird, and who are also worried about their loved ones and how their loved ones are assimilating into Liberty. And of course, ultimately what they then do is try and figure out the secrets, and they find out that, oh my god, there are lots of things about Liberty that nobody knew about. Of course, because once again, it's Stepford Wives meet Get Out. So all I'm thinking is that maybe like Liberty is just a figment of their imagination. Maybe nobody's really free. Maybe Liberty is not really about liberty. Wouldn't that be interesting? The last book on my list is Modern Fairies by Claire Pollard. This follows like Madame Delvenoy, like people are in a salon. Like, before I go into that, let me give context of the Modern Fairies now. Sometime earlier this year at work, we have this thing where you can give presentations on Fridays, like Friday mornings, about talking about things that you're passionate about outside of work. And I did a presentation on the history of fairy tales. It was like about an hour and a half long, and I had people like sitting down and really enjoying it. And I was like, it just like got into my spirit, and I'm like, I totally need to I totally need to write, like turn that into a video. I think I'll share that into a video sometime in 2024. Like, please keep that in mind. I intend to do that. But yeah, so I was, my brain was like, this book, because Madame Delvenoy is the one like in our salons where people were talking about fairy tales. In fact, she's the one that first coined the term fairy tales. And so in this book, we basically have all these writers together in our salon, and they're telling all these stories about fairy tales. Did you know, for example, that the princesses, that we save at the start of the story become the evil queen somewhere later in the story, and this is the character progression and all of that. And they're having conversations, and their tete-a-tetes and their secrets and things and everything else. And they're unaware that somebody is watching them and basically killing them one by one. So it is fairy tale, it is dark, it is murder. I mean, what are fairy tales without that violence and that murder? Especially the original fairy tales. It's in tune with them, isn't it? So the Modern Fairies by Claire Pollard is the last book, my last anticipated read of 2024, and I cannot wait to get to it. But yes, those are the books. Let me know if any of the books I mentioned on this list are books that you're interested in. Like maybe I mentioned something that was never on your radar, now you have it written down. Please drop the titles in the comments. If any of the books I mentioned are already books on your anticipated list of 2024, please let me know as well. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. Like this video if you can, please. I appreciate it. It goes a long way and it helps. And this will be my last video for 2023. I'm taking a break just to rest and recuperate, and then I would have my next video, which would be a TBR video for January. That would come out first week in January. Second week in January will be a combined wrap up of my November and December reads. So yes, I did not forget that is coming up soon. But yes, I hope until I see you, I hope you have a great time. Consider what are the things that you're thankful for in 2023. It might be something simple. It might be making a new friend, discovering a new book, maybe learning something about yourself, or letting go of something that you've wanted to let go forever. Just what are you thankful for that happened in 2023, and what are you looking forward to in 2024, no matter how small. I hope you have an enjoyable end of the year holidays, whatever you're celebrating, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Yule, Hanukkah, whether it's the solstice, the winter solstice, whether it's Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating. Happy holidays, and see you in 2024.